Hey guys, so welcome to my channel. I usually don't make car videos, but I decided to just make one so I can pay tribute to my awesome Miata right here. This is the first car I've ever bought for myself about 2.5 years ago, and I think it's just about time for me to make a video about it.
Didn't I treat you right now?
Video, I decided to give this car a quick wash, so you might be able to see a little bit of watermarks or just water droplets coming out. But here's just a quick overview of the car from the exterior point. So right off the bat, it's a fairly tiny car, but that's the best part about it sometimes, when you're making turns and you're making these quick maneuvers, and it just does the trick so well because the handling is just awesome in this car. So when I first decided to buy this car, I did not want green. Green was just not my favorite color, and it was just something that I was not looking forward to, especially when I was searching around the market on Craigslist or Car Gurus or somewhere online, or Facebook Market. I just did not like green. But you know, sitting in it after a couple of days, a couple of drives, and seeing it in person, just beautiful. As you can see how these it's kind of like a mirror, right? It just reflects everything off of it, and it's just a beautiful color. I always wanted silver, but now looking back at it, I'm kind of happy that I did go for a green here. So let's go ahead and start with the front here. So you see, someone installed a aftermarket like halo headlights onto this vehicle. So that is definitely a plus for me there. I didn't have to worry about spending like a couple hundreds just to put a aftermarket headlight, since it does get a little foggy on those original OEM headlights. You can see it's on this side as well. And just regular stock rims here. I don't really mind much for rims. In the back here, it also came with kind of like a luggage mount here. So this was apparently a OEM, it was factory made, but then the only thing horrible about it is that it's kind of peeling here. So the chrome is kind of coming off, which I don't really mind, because I don't really use this, this little mount here as often as I like to. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the interior here. So on the passenger side, you can see that it is quite spacious for the legroom here. It's not the best, but it does do the trick. And this is, of course, the beige interior, which I do love the leather. It's worn and torn, but I mean, it holds up just fine just for me. It also has a black trim on top of it as well, so it's not so bright inside. So there it is. And one of the things you can first notice about this car is that it is indeed an automatic. I didn't want to get an automatic at first, but so I paid for the car, but my dad was going to pay for insurance, and he just said that if you want me to pay for insurance, you're going to have to get an automatic vehicle, which I regret to this day. I should just stick to the guns and got a stick shift or a manual car, but it's okay. Miata is still Miata. Interior, it's quite intimate when you're in here with another person. So it only has one mirror, which is on the passenger side here. These are very cool. It has the these little balls here, the vents, the little ball vents, which is quite fun to play with, but sometimes they would just always fall down and become loose. Your glove compartment is quite fair. I have a couple of things in there, but it's tiny. And if not, you can always store stuff on the side as well. All right. So the cup holders has two. Here, there it is. This one got a little loose, so as you can see, which happens I guess in Miatas over time, but this one still has a little spring, so it doesn't get so loose. And then there's like a center console here, which has the trunk release as well as the gas cap release as well, which All right, it has quite a bit of storage, and this is quite cool here. They have a little compartment in the back here where I can store, like, I don't know, like napkins or in my case a book here. So it's just fairly nice to have something in the back just to store a little bit extra space. And of course, behind here I can store, I don't know, something small as well. And the top is up. The driver's side here, we have the door lock controls here. There you are, really easy. And me being a small person, I think this car is just fine for my legs here. There it is. And of course, you can always adjust it to your liking. From the view from the driver's seat is fairly decent because I can still see the top of the hood where it extends to, and then everything's just laid out in a very perfect format. So here it is from the driver's side. Handbrake as well. There you are. And then power windows controlled from the center console here. Now, being in here, it gets quite loud when you're driving on the freeway, but you know what? It's part of the driving experience. You feel more connected to the vehicle that way. It just feels so much more raw. And probably one of the best things about being inside this vehicle is, of course, the features of how easy it is to use the drop top. So there's two latches on here, on each side. So you can take those off, and then, well, the top goes down just like that, and it's perfect for cruising. Although that was very simple and easy to take down, the only thing that kind of is a drawback to this is that because of this roll bar that I have here, instead of easily reaching back and grabbing the top here and pulling it up, I can't do that when there's a roll bar in the way. So I would have to get out of the vehicle and then pull it back up. So I'm going to do that real quick. Which is still fairly fast, but you know, it takes more time when you can't do it from where you're sitting. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this car out for a spin. I'm gonna keep my sunglasses on because it's really weird when I'm like looking forward and not making eye contact with the camera. So I'm gonna keep these on. All right, let's go ahead and start this engine up. So it's not a really fast car, but I mean, it's kind of peppy. So it makes the corners and stuff, and it just works fine just for me. Let's go turn that off. So this is a 4-cylinder vehicle. Again, not the fastest, but it does the trick. And the best thing about this when you're driving it is that because it's so small, when you look out the back of the window, your rear view window here, and you can just see the back of it just fine. So parallel parking and reversing, everything is just perfect in this vehicle here.
Didn't I do the best I could? Didn't I give you everything?
Alright, so just wanted to tell you guys how I got this car in the first place. So back in September of 2017, I was about a senior in high school, and I was just shopping for a car. I had enough money at the time to buy the car that I wanted, which was this Miata here. So I was looking on the Car Gurus, Craigslist, anything online, so I can see something that I kind of liked. And again, I wanted a manual vehicle, but then my dad did something under his roof. You know, it's gonna have to be an automatic for him. So there's always this constant fight between having either looking for an automatic or looking for a manual vehicle. But I found someone on Craigslist, and he was a nice gentleman who had tons of cars in his little warehouse here. You range back from like Jaguar E-types, as well as like Sunbeam Alpines, and all these fantastic old vehicles. And then he had this Miata that he decided to sell, and the asking price was $4,500. But you know, I was able to talk him out of it. I mean, there was absolutely nothing wrong with this car, and I got $200 off, so I paid $4,300 for it. And you know, I was happy. It was putting smiles on my face. It was my first car as a senior in high school here, so being my first car, I'm very sentimental with this vehicle, and getting it for $4,300 was, you know, quite a bargain actually. It was 101,000 miles, so it was in a very good condition. The paint was still perfect and everything, so I was quite happy with this vehicle here.
I tried my best just to be a man.
So after owning this car for about 2.5 years, I have a pretty good idea of how reliable this car is, how much gas it eats up, and things like that, you know, these little maintenance and everything. So in terms of gas, it's a good deal. It's a pretty nice deal. So it's like 23 city, 28 highway, and average I get like 26 combined. So I don't spend that much on gas, since I just commute back and forth from my house to school every single day. And gas here is probably around like $3.15 right now. It's really cheap. And in terms of parts, I didn't have to buy much for this car, since nothing really breaks in this car. The only thing I wanted to replace was the water pump, as well as the timing belt. Since the car was like 100,000 miles already, I wasn't sure if to replace or not, so I went ahead and do that. And I just bought something on eBay. So the parts was on eBay. It was like a combined purchase of like $120, and then I have a family friend mechanic who just did it for like, I don't know, like $40. So in all, I spent $160 for replacement of the timing belt and water pump, which is fairly cheap here. You know, occasionally after every 3,000 miles, I would get an oil change for about $35, and I've done that constantly over the past 2.5 years, and you know, it doesn't really make much of a dent out of my wallet there. So in terms of reliability, this car is absolutely amazing. Just to give a quick overshot of what I did to my car over the past 2.5 years, this is just a quick list of all the things I've done to it. If you wanted to, you could always just, you know, pause the video and look at these things. I forgot to mention earlier here was the trunk space. So it's a fairly small trunk. I can't fit really much into it. I just have an umbrella there for now, but I mean, it does have little side pockets for, I don't know, maybe some like 2-liter bottles and such. So there it is. Here's the trunk. So I just want to talk quickly about the pros and cons of this car. Mostly this car is all pros and very little cons, but you know, I'm trying to even think about some of the cons here, but just starting the pros. Like, one, it's convertible, so this is just great for you know, springtime and fall time. A lot of people would think that in the summer it would be nice to have convertible, but with the top off and the sun, you know, just blazing at you, it's not very ideal for the summer. Another pros of this car is that just how nimble it is. You know, making turns on this vehicle. You know, I've never driven a manual Miata before, but just being an automatic here, even though I can't really control it as much as a manual, just an awesome car to take up to somewhere that's kind of curvy, a lot of windy roads and stuff, and it just handles just like a charm. You know, the pros of it also reliability. It's never left me stranded. Nothing major ever happened. I probably spent even less than, I don't know, like $300 over the past 2.5 years on just repairs and replacing things like that, excluding gas. And another pros of this car is just the looks of it. You know, it looks old, yeah, it's kind of outdated, but it doesn't make you feel bad about the fact that it doesn't look as modern as newer cars these days. You know, the color of this car is just magnificent. The green that reflects off, you know, everything that goes past. And at nighttime, it even turns a little black as well too. So it's just like changing colors. And the interior of this car is just very homey. It's intimate, yes. Like, you can't really carry much people, but it's intimate, and you just feel really snug in this car, and it feels really connected to the road, and you're very, very connected to this vehicle as well. I guess another pro about this car is that this is the culture of it. You know, you see Miatas everywhere you go. You mostly NAs. Sometimes you see an NB, and then there's NCs and NDs as well. But it's just like whenever I see Miata passing by, we always give a wave or a thumbs up or something like that. You know, you can't really do that much. Like, you can't be driving like a Toyota Camry or a Honda Accord or Civic or whatever, and people just saying hey to you, even though you have the same car. But with Miata, it's just fun to know that, oh hey, I have the same car as you, and then you give them a little wave or I don't know, a heads up or a nod or something like that. And then if you get a chance, roll the windows down when you're at a stoplight and just talk about your cars. And this is just the beautiful thing about Miatas and the culture about it as well. Alright, going to the cons. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but it's like rattling right now when I'm at standstill. So that's one of the things I get kind of annoyed about, but I mean, I don't really hear it when I'm putting music on, so I just ignore it. I did replace the spark plugs, but I mean, it still made that noise, so I don't know what it is, but it doesn't bother me that much, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. So that's the only thing that kind of bothers me while I'm driving the vehicle. Cons, I just can't really think of much. So there's also this one part in the drain hole for the convertible top. So when you have the convertible top, there's a little drain hole that just, you know, lets all the rainwater falls into. So that hole, I've cleaned it out multiple times, but for some reason it just always gets clogged. I don't know what it is, and I just don't even bother trying fixing it. So what I did instead was I just put like a little stick in there, like a little like flexible plastic stick that's long enough to just let the water go through, and it clears it right up. But it was just really annoying when I first found out that my car was flooding. So the back seat of the passenger side was flooding, and there's just very disgusting smell. And I mean, there isn't much constant, like this wear and tear. The seats are getting torn, which is natural. And then the cup holders, as I showed you in the video earlier, it's just getting loose, and that's quite annoying to mess with too. But cons, there's not much on this car. You're just gonna love this car so much when you drive it. So after 2.5 years, almost 3 years, what do I think about it? What do I think about this Miata? I mean, it's just a great car. I mean, sometimes I hear people say like, oh, it's a girl's car, or, you know, it's a hairdresser's car. It looks girly, it looks cute, it's because it's small. But I think that's just part of the, I guess, the car, right? It has a character to itself, and sometimes people say that the car that you drive defines you at moments. And I'd say that that is fairly true to me. I like this car. It's small, like I'm a small guy too. And it just has a timeless look. It looks, sometimes looks classy and sometimes looks sporty. So it's just very, it's very adaptable to those kind of things. And this car is just a great, it's just a great, and it's a blast to drive because it's so fun. Yes, it's not practical, right? You're not going to be driving a lot of people in this car, although I wish I could, especially, you know, being a college student, wanting to, you know, hang out with friends. But that's the beauty of this car is not about practicality, it's just having fun and just driving somewhere. And just all about the drive. It's not about the destination either, it's just about the drive. Yes, it gets loud in here, but it just feels more raw and connected to the car. This car was made back in the early 2000s, you know, now it's entering 2020, and it's still holding up very well. You know, it doesn't have all the essential features that modern cars have these days, but that's what I love about this car. It just feels connected to the road, and it feels connected to the driver like myself. So whether it's a automatic or a manual Miata, I just feel that this car is just perfect. Perfect first car. I mean, would I ever go back and change anything about buying this car? Like, no, I don't think so. I think it's just a perfect car for me.